All right. Who's ready to hack some mainframes? No? Anybody? Yeah, 4 people. All right. All right. Quickly, show of hands, and keep your hand up. How many people in the room do any kind of mainframe pen testing, auditing, any kind of that work at all? Hands up. 9, 7 people. No, keep your hand up. Keep your hand up. Way up. Way up. Now, yeah. No. How many of you have an account, ever had an account on a mainframe? Ever. Whoa. And none of you guys do any kind of security work? Like the other guys did? Because all their hands went down. A little bit of a disconnect there in the community. But anyways, so I got to put this slide up. I got a disclaimer. I'm here, my own personal volition. This is private research. I'm not here in the name of or on behalf of my employer. Any views expressed in this talk are my own and not those of my employer. So we're good. Now, I'm sure a couple of you were expecting an awesome mainframe talk by some super kick-ass wizard with a flaming skull, right? Or maybe some super awesome wizard who's got like an IBM book reading with a staff, right? But that's not me. I got a tiny beard, way too small to be a mainframe guy, so I'm told. But I'm just a regular security guy. I was always been into mainframes, I was auditing mainframes, and I've just always been into the security of the mainframe, and I never ever touched one. And I never got access to one until one year we have a contractor come in from an unnamed company, and he comes in and he's a PCI certifier. He's a mainframe security guru. He can do ISO 27002. Dude had 30 plus years experience on the mainframe. Super awesome guy. Wasn't too savvy on network controls and all that other stuff. He didn't know how to tell what ports were open on the mainframe. It has the netstat command, which you'll see in a few minutes. So then I realized, like, I have all this security background, and I have all this mainframe background, and I finally got access to a mainframe. And I was like, wow, you would not believe some of the crazy stuff that's going on here, that these engineers have told me bold-faced lies for years. And I was like, wait, you can totally do this. You can totally do all these things that they told me you cannot do on the mainframe. So I decided to sort of bring the awareness to the community. So I started creating tools, writing articles for security people, and instead of coming at it from the mainframe perspective, I'm coming at it from the hacker perspective, right? And so I spoke at ShmooCon, I spoke at all these other conferences that have no mainframe representation at all to start raising awareness about this platform, all right? So real quick, another question. This is a chart that shows SSL versus non-SSL usage for internet-facing mainframes, all right? Who wants to bet that the largest portion of the pie is the encrypted SSL, is using SSL in the smaller one? Any takers? No, absolutely not. Here's what gets even better. The ones that do SSL that are internet connected, about a third have valid certs. The rest are expired certs or self-signed. Okay? Now, why is that important? Because there's some crazy cool fucking mainframes on the internet. Can you guys see that? It's kind of hard to read there. That says Egypt Air. I found Iceland Air, Nissan's got some cool ones, a lot of government ones like Raleigh, North Carolina court system, a lot of cool mainframes out there. Plain text, just hanging out on the internet. And I'll get into why plain text is important in a minute. Now, if you haven't surmised, if you didn't read the program, this is an all ZOS talk. I'm not going to talk about iSeries, I'm not going to talk about the tandems, just the zSeries mainframes. It blows my mind that people call this platform legacy, because they just released a new version. It's state-of-the-art hardware, state-of-the-art operating system. And it blows my mind that people still call this a legacy platform because they don't actually know how it works, right? It's not really a legacy platform if you're updating it and installing patches and keeping it up to date and current with current releases, right? Okay, so, not a legacy platform. There's like all kinds of cool companies and infrastructure running it. So what does it look like? So it looks like this, right? So this is a 3270 emulator. You're connecting, it's like extended telnet, right? Now I'm going to log into TSO. TSO is the equivalent of the bash shell in this environment. So it takes a little bit to log in. Now, you can just run commands. So here I'm going to run the LU command, which stands for list user. And so I can list user credentials or user information. So what do they have access to? I can list my credentials. Or I can list another user's credentials. Or I can add other flags and filter out some of the information that I care about, right? So I only care about their Unix partition, I'll talk about in a second. And then you can do other kind of cool stuff, like you can do netstat to show the open ports. You can do netstat home, that shows you the IP configuration. You can also do, let's see, ping. You can ping Google. Right? It's a regular, normal, it's not some super special thing that everyone had you believe. It's just a regular computer that has regular kind of commands, and you can do kind of cool stuff with. But nobody does it in this interface. They use ISPF. ISPF is like the GUI interface to the mainframe. All I always do is go to the editor, so that's 3.4, and I jump straight to the editor, and now I can edit some files. So here I'm editing some login script, and it's just a regular, just a regular text editor, just editing files. Now I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go to like my home folder. Yeah, I know it's not a home folder, mainframers, but for the sake of argument, we'll just keep it there. I only got 20 minutes. So here I'm going to edit a JCL. JCL is like a script language. Basically, you submit jobs and you can run a script. It's very similar. And here's a Rex file. So this Rex file shows the current logged in TSO users. And what's cool about this is you can actually execute TSO commands straight from the editor. So you can do a whole bunch of work, save it, and then execute commands, or if you need to execute something. So this is just showing that you can just execute something. So you can do a lot of cool things from this menu as well, right? So I'm going to log out, and I'm going to show you that Unix is running on top of ZOS. Regular old Unix. It's a POSIX compliant environment. You can make a mistake and it'll tell you. You can also do regular commands and remember the flags when you're recording. You can also do, I can clear the screen. It's regular Unix interaction. I'm doing this through the 3270 session. You can also do it over Telnet or SSH. And Telnet runs on port 1023, and I've seen a ton of them on the internet that are still accessible on that port. Now, so that's the mainframe. Now we're all mainframe experts. Now it's time to break into a mainframe, okay? So, how do you get a credential? I'm just going to sniff it off the wire, because now we know they're not encrypted. But up until recently, ETTERCAP didn't support sniffing EBCDIC packets for TSO. So me and a gentleman by Dear Rucolia, we went and we added it. So here you can see FTP works fine, no changes there. I FTP to the mainframe, it totally stole the credentials. Here you can see now I've logged in on TSO, totally stole the credentials as well. Doing a man in the middle. In case you missed it, here's what it looked like there. Now, oftentimes, large enterprise organizations, they'll set up a web server on their mainframe, and because not everyone wants to learn all the TSO commands to say, show a user. They won't have to log in if they're doing just simple user administration tasks. So they'll create a website to do it. So on the DEF CON mainframe, I created a website that lets you just list user information for all the users that you know of, and so you can check if they're revoked or whatnot. So here's what it looks like. It just shows you the details. It's super broken. I know it's on purpose for the demo. Now, what's interesting is it's a CGI bin called TSO command, so that's cool, right? Because I can guess what it does. And I know it's running LU, because we just went through what LU does, list users. So I wonder if I add on the other part of the command I was demoing earlier, and if it does something else. Okay, so it's totally just interpreting commands that you type in and running in a TSO environment. So I'm going to run rvary. Rvary shows you the location of the RACF database. The RACF database is the most important file security-wise on the mainframe, because every single security setting, username, password hash, is stored in this one file, technically two, the primary and the backup. If you can access this file, you've owned the mainframe, and I'll show you how to do that in a bit. So here you go, I typed rvary, and that's it. Now, oftentimes, you'll come across a mainframe, only FTP is available. And it'll tell you, because it tells you in the banner that it's a mainframe, but you can't do anything else. And you have login credentials for the system. Well, what's awesome is the mainframe lets you run commands through JCL, through FTP. Back in the day, there was no way to submit jobs remotely, so they just added it to FTP. And so I can submit, so if I create a JCL and upload it and say, hey, go run this, it runs it for me. And there's all kinds of cool stuff, so I'll show you. Now, we have access, so I'm trying to blow through this so I can get to some of the demo-y stuff. We have access now. Assume we got an FTP credential or some kind of credential through ETTERCAP or something like that. But now what? Right? That's what Tugel asked me. Okay, great. That was easy. Someone left it in a script. Now what do I do? Well, now we're going to escalate our privileges. Right? That's the first thing we're going to do. So we're going to connect with any kind of telnet, any kind of thing you want to use, and we're going to escalate. Now, here's where it gets kind of funky. Back in 2012, there was a major breach of a mainframe in Sweden. Part of that breach was a whole bunch of CVEs came out. This was one of them. I'm going to read just the first little bit. Unspecified vulnerability in IBM Tivoli NetView, blah, blah, blah. Okay? What the real vulnerability was the fact that any setuid rec script similar to a Python script, any setuid rec script would allow you to escalate your privileges to whatever UID was set to that rec script. Okay? Now, the attacker used a rec script that was used by Tivoli NetView. So when they released the CVE, it's technically correct. And then IBM didn't talk about the other part, and they quickly and quietly patched that up. It's all patched, so you don't need, this is not, I'm not stupid enough to come up here and teach you guys how to really hack these things. But if you have some that are not patched, this may definitely work. So, just saying. So we talked about that, we talked about this, it works with any recs. So let's see if we can get this demo going. Can you guys see that? Of course not. So let's see if I can get it going in this. All right, that's the end of the demo, great. All right, can you guys see down there? Oh, you know what, Alrighty. So you can see I'm on a mainframe, no question, this is on the mainframe, okay? No question at all. Here I have a simple rec script, all it does is say yay. That's all it does, it doesn't do anything else, it just says yay. It's got a UID of 0. I run get_root.rx, I supply it that very simple rec script. And I have root. Because of the way they're using spawn and whatnot. So, now I mean, the rest of the demo, like whatever, it's just showing that I did it, and if I had time to show it to you guys, I would, Okay, so that's just the other demo. Now, someone, when I gave this demo earlier, said, well, you're just using Sue in some crazy way. I have 0 access to Sue here. That's what this is showing you right up here. I have no access to run the Sue command at all with that user ID. But it was still able to get a UID of 0. So there's the same demo for the PDF readers. For this hack specifically, I need to thank a couple of people before I go and talk on the rest of the stuff. The Swedish black hat community for figuring this out. Because they're the original people who discovered this. And then it was all wrapped up and hush-hushed. Oliver Lavery. So what happened was there was a bunch of files in the investigative paperwork that someone sent me secretly. And there were little tiny pieces, and we had to reverse engineer it together to figure out what it was doing and how it worked. We tried running NetView to see what it was doing, and then we had to figure out it was actually just a rec script that it needed. It didn't need anything else. So that'll work. So he helped me out a lot, and then, like I mentioned, the Logica breach. So in Sweden, they had a mainframe that got breached. The mainframe was run by a company called Logica. Okay, but we have root, but we talked about TSO a lot. So how do we bypass the rest of the controls to get access to TSO? Well, the easiest thing to do at this point would just to get a copy of the RACF database. If you're lucky, the root ID has access to the RACF database. If you're unlucky, maybe the web server has access to the RACF database because it needs to do some user updates or whatnot. Or you know of someone who has access and you just set up inetd to open up a shell with that user ID, and then you can do that. There's multiple ways to get at it. Whatever you do, you get that file. Because John the Ripper supports cracking the hashes in a RACF database. With a tool called RACF to John, you take that, it strips out all the usernames, all the hashes, and you run it through John, and it's great because it's DES. So the way they're hashed, the way they hash the password is they take your user ID and they encrypt it with your password. Yeah. Now there's a little bit of obfuscation. They XOR with hex 55 and they shift it to the left 1 bit, but it's essentially the same. Oh, did I say? Okay, so. Doesn't matter, it's open source, you guys could have read the code. It's not like a secret anymore. IBM is actually working to change this. They just released a thing saying, hey, we need suggestions on what to move to next. Now, what else can you do? Well, IBM has a tool called IRRDBU00, rolls right off the tongue. Stands for database unload. What it does is, it takes the RACF database and it dumps that to a flat text file. All the permissions, all the settings, everything. What you're going to do with that is you're going to find all the users that have special. And then you're going to go back to your list of hashes and you're going to say, John, just focus on these people. And then once you have that, you're going to log in with that special account. And then here's an example of JCL, because I think it's cool to have JCL at DEF CON, because that's so cyberpunk. So there's a whole, so that's just the JCL you'd use. It's included on the CD. There's IRR DBU00. But now we have special. Special gives us full control of RACF. RACF lets us do anything we want because we're special. Now it doesn't mean we have access to anything, but it does mean is we can give ourselves access to anything we want. So I can create a user ID, and I can have a regular user, regular user ID in Unix. Well, now I'm going to give it a user ID of 0, and I have the permission to do that. Or I'm just going to give myself special. I'm just going to create another ID and give it special in case I lose my special. What you could also do is all the users who have special in the system. You could remove their special access, right? Now there's a really cool permission called bpx.superuser, and you guys can see that demo? Good. Sort of. All it's doing is typing su and exit over and over and over in quick succession. You'll notice there's no time to type a password here. bpx.superuser doesn't ask you for a password if you want to su up to root. So if you have people who have permission to bpx.superuser, you can just type su and do it. Yep. So that's how you do it if you wanted to actually do that to a user. It's a really long command. I'm not going to read it off. All you got to do is change the user ID right here, this guy right here, to your user ID, and you can do it that way. On top of that, I have a whole bunch of tools that I've created to make it a little bit easier to deal with the mainframe. When I first came across this thing, I was like, what is happening? All the commands are crazy. I have no idea what I'm doing. I didn't even know how to edit a document when I first started using this thing. I was like, what is happening? So I started writing some tools. I said, well, it'd be really cool if netcat could work. So I went and got netcat working in it, and that was kind of a cool project. But I was like, man, it only does Unix. It would be really cool if you could do TSO shell, like a reverse TSO shell. So that's what I did with Katso, is this really awesome rec script. It has a whole bunch of macros in it, so if you want to do, say, FTP a file off the mainframe, you just type FTP space the file name and the destination, and it goes and does it behind the scenes. You don't have to deal with it. If you want to copy files, delete files, you don't have to know. It's just all these macros I wrote up to make it easier. You want to look at the IP configuration. You want to find out where the RACF database is. You just type RACF and it will show you, right? Also, it lets you run Unix and TSO commands straight from the prompt that you get. And it works with netcat. So you open up a listener or you reverse shell out. With netcat, it all works fine. The shocker is a wrapper around that whole script. So remember earlier I was talking about you can use FTP to submit a job and then have it execute that JCL. That's what it's doing. It's taking it all together, building it, and then uploading it to the mainframe. So here's an example. This is what it looks like if you run Katso on the mainframe. Okay, it's not terribly special, but this is what it looks like if you use the shocker to run it from your Linux prompt. So it goes and it builds and it runs it, and then you just got to connect with netcat, or it automatically will listen on netcat and be all ready for you to go. And now you have a shell. So if you only have FTP access and the mainframe is allowed to call out, this is a way that you can get interactivity with that mainframe. And that's really cool. But it would be even better if we could get a root shell out of this. So I took getroot.rex and did the exact same thing. I compiled it all together. It has 2 C programs that it compiles on the fly in the mainframe environment. It uploads those files, compiles it all, and then executes it. And let's see, this demo better work. Let's see, I'll do the same thing I did earlier. Awesome. You guys see the end of the demo again. So here you go. It's just connecting on port 21. So we connect port 21, switches the mainframe to JES mode to upload the JCL to the job queue, and then it's doing its thing behind the scenes, and now I have a root session. All through FTP. That's all I needed was an FTP username and password. And that's it. So then now I have full system control and I can start doing what I was talking about, but I never even had to do anything crazy. I'll go back. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, that's awesome, but they're never going to let me touch our mainframes. Are you kidding me? They're like multi-million-dollar machines. that are unbreakable, but they're afraid I'm going to break them. So what's great is IBM has this software called RDZ, or Rational Developer for System Z. And that is a full-on emulated mainframe that you can run in Linux. They offer it. If you have mainframe, if you're a mainframe shop, all the dudes who put up their hands that they were working, that they had an account on a mainframe, talk to your IBM rep and see if they'll give you a demo license to check it out. It's really awesome. It's a full-on regular mainframe environment. Now you can go and get your hands dirty. You can go and you can break it and not worry about it. You can start creating overflows or APF authorized libraries and just seeing how it works. I learned more setting up this machine to do demos than I did in 7 or 8 classes on mainframes. Right? It's so awesome to have your hands on one, and it looks cool as hell. So you can just call your IBM guy and you should be good. Now I need to thank some people. My talk was all, operating system based. There's a lot of applications that run on the mainframe that have been built not using best practices from 60 years ago. So, a gentleman by the name of Dominic White, he gave a talk at Hack in the Box, and hopefully he's going to do it at Derby, about using, he calls it BERP, but it's Big Iron Reconnaissance and Pwnage, and it does the exact same thing that BERP does, but it does it for mainframe web applications. And there's another cool fact that the 3270 client, well anyways, I'll let him talk about that. I need to thank the community and IBM. I mean, literally, I know I was making fun of IBM here a little bit, but I love the mainframe. I really, really do. It's really, really cool. And I don't want to have like a Stuxnet happen on the mainframe here because people don't know how to adequately secure it. I'll put this up before I think I know why they're coming here. Yeah.